Hey everybody, welcome back to the Gootscast. It's Wednesday, the 8th of July. Wow. Woo! It's getting up there. And I'm here with Ashley Martins again. Ashley, how are you?
Hello, I'm good and super happy to be recording because it's a Wednesday and I got to watch a new TV show. Yeah.
All right. So today we watched Unsolved Mysteries. There used to be an Unsolved Mysteries when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s. And now they brought it back. But there's no narrator. But it's an unsolved mystery. What did you think of the first episode of Unsolved Mysteries?
I loved it.
It was good. Yeah, it really was.
Loved it.
Hmm.
I'm like, and here's the thing with documentaries too. Like sometimes they're boring out and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I just can't deal with this. I'm gonna quickly switch it to something else. But this one, I was captivated right from the get-go, and I think they did a really, really good job with it.
Yeah, I did too. So just so everybody knows the story in this first episode of Unsolved Mysteries, there's this guy named Ray, my name too. He is Puerto Rican. He marries this woman. They move to Baltimore to work for his best friend's company. One night he gets a weird phone call. He runs out of the house, and then he goes missing. And then they find his car in a parking lot by this hotel, the Belvedere, which I guess is a big hotel in Baltimore. And then they find a hole in the roof, and then in a conference room is his corpse. They don't know how he got there. He's really fucked up his body. They rule it a suicide, but the weird thing is his best friend lawyers up and puts a gag order. Nobody in the company can talk to cops, which is weird. I didn't know you could do that. Like, wouldn't that automatically make everyone think that you were like I don't know, like if you went missing at my house and all of a sudden a lawyer said, "Oh no, my client has a gag order. You can't talk about Ashley," even though that was the last place she was. Wouldn't like your whole family like, "Oh yeah, Ray must have killed Ashley," which is why he has this.
That literally, as soon as they said that, I'm
Yeah,
like, this is the most suspicious, asshole in the entire world. And like they were saying too, like that was his best friend.
yeah.
If that is your best friend, like, how do you not want to go and testify and make sure that he is brought as justice? He clearly did it.
He
He
clearly,
clearly
or
killed
he
it.
clearly had somebody at his job do it.
Oh yeah. So this way,
You
it
know
can
what I
never be
think? I
tied back
think
to
they,
him.
I think they threw him out of like a helicopter or something.
You think?
Yeah, because the fall is so weird.
Well, then and then they also said too, okay, so for those of you that didn't watch it, what happened was there was like a 45-foot difference from the roof of where you can see this hole
Hmm.
and where the hole actually was. So this guy played water polo. He's pretty fit, but that's like a superhuman to jump
Yeah,
45 feet out ahead of you. And then what was also interesting too was they had his cell phone was completely intact, his eyeglasses completely intact, and the only thing wrong because he was wearing flip flops.
yeah.
That's another thing too. No athlete can jump 45 feet like
In flip flops.
laterally in flip flops. And the only problem with his flip flops was that his flip flop, the one strap just was hanging off. That
Yeah,
was it.
it was weird. It was really, really. I think they threw him from something. He went through the roof, and then they had someone. I don't know, but people would have heard a helicopter if a helicopter landed on the roof, so they could put.
That's a thing too. And especially they were saying that the roof was what, metal? Don't you hear something plunge through metal?
Yeah, and the other thing too is I don't know. It just no one went in, no one went out. They knew him. It's so weird. It was very weird, but it's a good. I do think though that company has something. I looked him up on Twitter. He has this massive company now. That
Really?
guy. Hmm.
How the heck did they let him do that? I don't know. And I also think too, he must have tipped off the police saying it was a suicide
Oh, that guy.
because
Maybe he paid the police because he has a lot
that's
of
what I'm
money.
that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I just feel so bad. I just felt so bad for this woman too. She was so excited, just starting her life with her husband. And they picked up everything, moved to Baltimore. They were so excited, got a beautiful house. And then her husband just goes missing and is found dead.
Yeah,
Also, what I'm confused about is didn't they it was a couple days before they found him in the conference room. Do people just not go into that conference room at all?
I guess not. I mean, I guess no one. Maybe that's the floor. Some of these hotels are really big. Maybe they just weren't using that floor for anything. I don't know.
Could have
It was.
been.
It's very weird. But you know what though? It was the format of the show was very very good, and I definitely want to watch more episodes.
Oh my God, me too. And I feel like they did a good job introducing it and then slowly peeling back the layers of everything. Because like originally they brought up how like this guy had a best friend, and then like you didn't hear anything about the best
Mhm.
friend until
I did
later
want to
on.
hear
Then it
more
was like,
about that guy because I wanted to hear more about like what that guy was about and what their relationship was about, their friendship was
yeah. Well,
about.
and like interesting placement how they put it later on in the episode once you started learning more about him. Yeah, it's just like so sad that things like this happen, and I guess it goes to show you too, like you don't really know what people are going through,
I
even
know.
your loved ones.
Sometimes they're going through a lot of bullshit in their life. Sometimes they go through a roof. You never know what they're going through.
To go through the bullshit or a roof,
Yeah.
pick one.
Pick one. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I say binge it.
I say binge it too. This is so easily bingeable, but I'd be nervous to do it like by myself at night.
Oh, okay.
To be
You
scared.
you
Like
you
what?
weren't alone when you watched this.
Well, I mean, it was just I literally watched it like what is it today at like 4:30 p.m.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of spooky though because it was like kind of dark and mysterious outside. So I'm like, oh, it kind of is like setting the mood and everything. But yeah, I was just thinking like, holy shit, like I want to watch the next one, but I'm like, I'm gonna be by myself, and I don't want to be watching it by my. Well, I mean, I guess I could watch it by myself as long as it's light time outside.
Yeah.
And I think like the premise is like each one is a different unsolved mystery, right?
Yeah, it's not to be the same mystery. I mean, there's really nothing else to talk about. What are they gonna do? Like, they have to go back and look at the hole again. Look at that hole, huh? Like the next
Right. No,
every
but
episode is its own mystery.
right. Well, I feel really bad for the family though,
I do. Yeah, me too. But
because I feel like they didn't get
it's good that they
closure.
got to be on this.
Yeah, and then even at the end, it was like, if you know anything,
They
please
used to solve
contact.
mysteries on the old Unsolved Mysteries.
Really?
Yeah, things actually got solved. I remember like if you that's so it was like one of the only shows you watch the reruns. So like in the summer you watch a rerun and they'd be like update and they would tell you they solved the mystery. Like they'd be like we
That is
found.
cool. Is
So
it the
you would
same company?
I don't know. It was on NBC back when I was a kid, and this is
Okay.
Netflix obviously. So did you ever watch the old one?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you like the old one was really good. You should watch it. But the old
Jeez.
one used to have like 4 or 5 mysteries an episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like this kind of stuff. Like and I know true crime podcasts are a really big thing too.
Hmm.
So I listened to one, and like this reminded me just like the podcast, however, just with pictures and people moving. And it was cool because then you could actually see different things. Like I feel like having a documentary is cool because like, you can describe the whole in a podcast, but it definitely does
Yeah,
not
it's
compare
definitely
to then
better like
physically
this.
seeing it.
Hmm. Well, the other one was good. They would have 4 or 5 mysteries, and I'll never forget. There was one where I think it was either a brother or sister, or it was a male and female best friend.
Okay.
But the mother gets sent a photo of them tied up in a van, and it's the last thing she ever heard of them. And I watched this when I was like a kid, so I must have been like 7 years old when I saw this, and it freaked me out. Like people used to be, I know you watching these old movies like and like they say like child abduction in the '80s was everywhere. It was like a huge thing. And I was like
What?
definitely yeah. It was like, and they showed the picture like these two like they had to be like 12, 13, just in a van
Oh,
tied up and like no.
that
And then
breaks my
I
heart.
don't think it was ever solved, so they're probably dead. Anyway.
Well, that's the thing that's like so upsetting. Like we have a family, well, my grandma had a family friend who like they were at the beach. There were just a bunch of people at the beach like way
Mhm.
back in the day. And I guess like all of a sudden she turns around and her kid's like nowhere to be seen.
I looked up a bunch of missing. I looked up a bunch of missing kids stories, um, and a lot of like there's this one. So this is the one that stood out to me. I
Hmm.
looked it up on There's one girl was this literally a car pulled up. So the mom and her got back from like the store, and a car pulled up. It just grabbed her from the driveway while the mom was like bringing the groceries in, and the girl called the mom from payphone. And then the other thing was the girl. The girl was at a diner and she looked nervous. And under the placement, I think it was like a Friendlies or something. Under the
Hmm.
placement, the girl wrote, "Please help me, I'm kidnapped," and with the mom's number. And that was it. No one ever saw the girl again. But then the mom, and I do think this is what happens when kids go missing and they don't get found. The mom got a lead to an Indian reservation, and this woman was and she thought the woman was crazy, but I think the woman was actually telling the truth. Said that her daughter was sold to one of the guys in the reservation and got pregnant at 16. Was like the wife of some guy, got pregnant at like 15, 16, and died in childbirth with the baby, and that was it. And then the guy moved away. And I think that's what happens to a lot of kids when they get kidnapped. They eventually get sold as like brides, and then that's it. And they just
That breaks my heart so much.
yeah.
Especially kids too. They're so innocent.
Mm-hmm.
They are
But
helpless.
it used to be way easier. It used to be, I think, I don't know. It used to be way easier back in the day because there was no social media. So like, you just grab a kid and you go. Like, I don't know. Because I don't know. And if the kid says something stupid at like the diner, like, "Oh, my kid's an idiot," like whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know. It
the
used
one
to be.
girl, that is crazy. The one
It's,
girl we used to go to school with, she was in my sister's grade. I actually played soccer with her, and like she too, like there was this whole thing of like she was waiting at the end of her driveway for
mhm.
like the bus stop, like the bus to come, and some guy pulled up and I guess tried like taking her, but then she like sprinted back to the house as like literally hauled ass, ran
Mhm.
back to the house, and thank God is fine. However, like there was a thing with that, like where it's just some man was just driving around like during like the school bus drop off and pickup time, just waiting for people to like lose sight of their kids.
It's crazy. I once a cop once told me. I forget. I saw a cop. The cop said something crazy. He was like, "If you get in a car right now, right, me,
Mm-hmm.
or and you drive to like Baltimore and you wait outside a bar, and then like in 1 in the morning the bartender leaves, you shoot the bartender in the head, and then you drive back to New York, you probably never get caught. Because why would anyone think that like Ashley Martin's shot this woman at the bar in Baltimore? They're going to
Right.
look at her friends. They're going to look at people that were at the bar that night. They're going to look at her boyfriend, her father. They're not going to look at people in New York. So, like, at the same time, like, people, there's so many ways people can get away with stuff, even now. And, like, it's scary world out there.
And you would think too, like there's all these
Look how
places
many
have cameras
times,
everywhere.
look how many times I got away with kidnapping Cassie and you.
Yeah.
And the cops never
No one
came.
came after. No one came
Nobody.
after. What the heck?
You're technically still kidnapped. That's why you're on this podcast.
My God. Yes. By recording remote too.
Yeah, by recording people. What you will call it? What was I gonna say to you? Shit, I was gonna say something crazy. I forget. Anyway, keep telling me your story.
No. Well, I was just gonna like go off on that. Like that's a really good point. Really good point. Like it could be someone completely random.
Yeah. If,
That person just happened to be lucky and they're at the same time.
yeah, no, it's a crazy it's a crazy world out there, which is why. But you know what? It is fun to watch on these things like Unsolved Mysteries. They leave you like what makes me more spooked. Like this didn't spook me because it's like, all right, at least this guy was like in his 30s. I don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least he lived a little bit. It spooks me more when it's like this kid just goes missing.
Right. Oh my gosh. When I was in Spain, okay, maybe I don't know how many stories you want to do with these,
Yeah,
but
that's
because
fine.
they're sad. But when I was studying abroad 2 years ago, there was this whole thing in Madrid or like just in Spain in general. Because it didn't happen in Madrid, it happened like off
Hmm.
like more in the countryside. And I guess this little boy just vanished, went missing. They had no idea what happened to him. The last they heard of him was either like the grandma, I think it was the grandma that had him go like I guess like what he would do is like walk back and forth between the mom and the grandparents' house. So, but like they would kind of like just let him go on his own. He was like maybe 6 years old or something, but he like knew enough to like, okay, I walk on this road and then I go home.
Hmm.
And like it wasn't super far away. However, there's like a bend where like then you can't see from one house to the other. So I guess the grandma was watching her grandchild till he got to the bend from her house and then was like, oh, okay, he's fine. He's on his way, whatever. That's when he vanished. Okay.
Wow.
So then there, like, literally all of Spain was in an uproar with this. Like, everyone who was anybody was out there searching for this poor little boy. Like, came from all over Spain to find this guy. Anyway, comes to find out that so the parents were split. The person who kidnapped him and then killed him was his stepmom.
Crazy. Wow.
And apparently she didn't so I guess the little boy from the beginning was like, I don't like this woman at all. Like,
Hmm.
did not seem to be comfortable with this woman. and no one seemed to really see the signs at all. And this woman, what was crazy was there were videos of her helping alongside this kid's father to also look for this kid. And
That's next level lunacy.
and it was, and I guess like it's just, it goes to show you too, I feel like kids also have like, and people too, like I don't know if you feel this way, but like I feel like and especially kids have like a sixth sense of like,
Oh yeah. Well, remember that
oh
one
like,
mom,
yeah.
and I should
And
listen to that. The one crazy mom who wrote that crazy letter.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess like no one really like believed this little kid's warning signs. And then like the poor little kid, like if you can't trust someone who like your parents say like this is a trustworthy person, like how is he supposed to know? He thought, okay, if I'm gonna go in the car with her, like my
Yeah.
dad says it's okay.
It is a fun. You know what? I had this is what I want to say. I've always had this idea of this TV show
Okay.
where this kid gets kidnapped in the 80s, and the story would be, and it would go over like the next 20 years. One half of the story would be the parents trying to find him, but the other half would be the insane adventure he goes, where he gets sold to pedophiles and all this stuff, and him getting out of it, him figuring out a way to get out of it. And the show, you would start the show with him getting kidnapped as a kid, and the first episode would end with him in like 2000. So he gets kidnapped in like 85, and the
Mm-hmm.
last episode and the last scene of the first episode would be him emerging in his neighborhood in 2005, and then you explain what happened in those 20 years and how he got
That
out
would
of
be
it.
cool. There's your episode idea to pitch to Netflix or Hulu.
Yeah, and then like you go back and forth between flashbacks, present day, and like how did this kid go from being a victim? Because there's a story, and it's a documentary on Netflix. I think it's Johnny Gotch is its name. This
Okay.
kid gets kidnapped, and then weeks later, the kid is running through the streets screaming for his mom and goes missing again. And then apparently, according to the mom, at some point in like the 2000s, the kid came in and said that he had been a Russian sex slave and he had been sold to some senators. And he gave the name of this general. And he said, I have to keep moving because they're looking for me, but I have to go undercover to take up. I just want you to let you know I'm okay, I'm all right. And everyone thinks the mom's crazy. But I looked up this general, and this guy is still a general, and he has this weird thing in the desert where it's about multiple religions, and he has his own podcast, and he rewrote Star Wars so that Darth Vader was crueler. Like he was like Star Wars, like they got it right with the Empire, but then because of the liberals, they had to like. It's this general, and he runs his own religion. And there's some weird shit going on with him. I gotta read. It's called Johnny. Who's Johnny? It's still on Netflix if you want to watch it.
It's just a documentary?
Yeah, but there's this general guy in the desert that does weird shit, and he's still out there, and he's very like. He's a dark. He basically is like a supervillain that admits he's a supervillain and has a
Oh.
following on the internet, and he does a podcast talking about being a supervillain, being like Darth Vader didn't go hard enough. Like what?
People are ridiculous.
I know.
What?
Yeah,
And then
so
was this
that's
like
what.
a US general and US
Yeah,
senator?
he's still a general. The guy, he's not active, but he has like a base where he like has multiple wives and stuff, and has sex slaves. I don't know,
These are the people that are running our
willing
country.
sex slaves. They're not like like he. I guess they're willing. I don't know. I guess he put out a. But in other words, they're there, but like, hey, you're coming here to be a sex slave, and they're like, okay, I guess that's okay if you're willing.
Does he not get enough from his multiple wives?
Look, I don't know. He's the head of an. I guess when you're the head of an evil organization, everyone has to have sex with you, and you're like, and no one can complain because you're like, this is an evil organization, so you have to sleep with me as
So
part of this
he
evil.
has male and female
I don't know if he
sex
don't.
life.
He doesn't have male. It's all female.
Oh, okay, okay.
Well, I don't
Maybe
know.
he's, I
Hold
don't
on.
know. I feel like a lot of those people are just like confused, to be
Hold on.
honest with you.
Who? Yeah, Johnny Gosh. The disappearance of Johnny Gosh, and he. It's. I think there's a. What's the Netflix documentary film? Who took Johnny? It's on Amazon and Curiosity Stream. It used to be on Netflix. It's called Who Took Johnny. It's really good.
Okay.
let me see if she has the name of the joke.
Is it a series or just like a movie?
It's just a movie. It's just a movie.
This is the type of world we live in, right? Do you realize that?
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, because somebody sent her a photo of her of some boy tied up, and it's like in a catalog where you can order boys.
What the frick?
And,
What?
that's the craziest thing. And I know, like, we joke about this on our web show, where, like I've said, like, I remember some episodes ended where I'm like, oh, we're gonna sell you and like Brittany to
Yeah,
a Japanese businessman.
but it's actually a thing.
It's actually a thing. Yeah. Actually a thing. But you never actually got
Oh,
sold. You always like got out of it somehow. Well, the bad endings you got sold. The bad endings aren't.
oh my God! What?
But what was I gonna say? This is a crazy story. So this couple goes on a honeymoon,
Yeah.
and the wife goes missing in the Bahamas. And then this was on Dr. Phil or some one of those shows. But someone stumbles on a catalog in Taiwan for hookers,
Uh huh.
and he sends the photo of this woman like with the mascara in it, and it's the wife in the catalog. She's like tied to like a wall, and it's like the wife. If you look, it's like you can definitely think, oh yeah, it's the wife.
Did they get her back?
No, I think he flew to Taiwan, and like those people go. No one's gonna. I mean, no one's gonna rat. No one's. Hey, my wife was kidnapped. Is she part of your local sex
Well,
trade?
like I'm
No.
wondering if he would try to like buy her
You should try
back.
to buy her. That'd be an interesting movie. Try to buy her.
Buy her back. I got it, guys. Don't
Well,
worry.
maybe somebody already
Buy
bought her. Well, I guess you could track them. That'd be crazy. But I don't know. But see, my other thing was like, so your kid. Okay, so let's say you're in a boat, right? And you're kidnapped, and you're in a
Okay.
chamber, and you can't escape the chamber, obviously. But then you get sold. Like, let's say you get sold, like to a Russian guy, like some Russian guy, right?
Okay.
Wouldn't you try to get out of Russia, or would you like at some point, like? So what happens? Are you just like, well, I guess I'm just gonna stay in Russia? Like, wouldn't you try to get out of it?
I would try, but I would imagine some of these people can't.
I know, but
Or
like,
or the people that
well, the people that buy
kidnap
you
them.
must know that you're kidnapped.
Well, they also must know too that like the whole thing's effed up, and they probably like mind mess with you.
They
You
must
know.
like they must put drugs in you before they sell you. Because if I just grab someone off the street and then sell them to someone, the person who buys them is just like, oh, I bought you, and then you're like, oh, okay, cool, I guess that's it. So you must have like your mind, your head must be fucked up for you just to like sit there.
Do you think? I don't know. Like, do you think like the reason why some of these people do it? Like, obviously, I'm sure they probably had like fucked up childhoods growing up. However,
You people like kidnap or people?
the people that kidnap and like
Oh,
sell and like and then especially
the
the
human
ones that
traffickers.
buy, especially the ones that buy the humans.
Hmm.
Do you think like I don't know what they're like? Do they think they can't get some on their own? Do they like
Well,
what do
I
they
think you
think?
probably just want like probably you buy like if you buy like a hot chick, you probably just buy her so it's like you don't have to leave your basement. You just have some hot chick that's like there. I just don't get how you keep the girl without. I don't know. I don't get how you keep these
I
people without locking them in a room. You know, or
unless like I
maybe
said,
like
unless you mind fuck them enough that like they then start to believe like then they get like Stockholm syndrome.
unless
Like
yeah, unless they give you some drugs or some hypnosis that makes you think you're their wife or their daughter. I don't know because there has to be
it's
something
really
you can't just people are gonna try to find a way to get out. I mean, I don't know.
it's a scary world out
We should
there.
try to buy someone and be like, listen, what if we just want to like have
We're
them
gonna
watch
buy you and set you free. Maybe
so we,
that's the way to save all these people is like have the government buy them all back and then set
yeah,
them then
like
give them to the
yeah, if we
right.
buy someone, but maybe there's like in the contract you can't set them free because then that person would rat everyone out.
Oh, you mean the contract with like the
Like
human
so in other words,
trafficker?
like if I buy you and then I'm like, oh, you know what, Ashley's a really nice girl. You know what, go back to Pennsylvania. Like you're not just gonna go back to Pennsylvania and be like, oh, I had such a week. Anyway, whatever.
I had
What's for
such a
dinner?
week.
You're gonna go and tell the story, and then it's like, hey, we sold Ashley to you, and now like our whole operation is exposed. So you must have a contract where you have to like keep the girl, and,
Dear Lord. Well, I'm sure they probably have like
I don't know,
people to like, thugs that come in and
check
will
on you.
get you. I don't know. It's just a mess.
It's a
People are
mess.
horrible.
It's a major thing and it's a real thing, but I just don't know how it's managed to stay underground. I mean, I kind of do. The answer is probably like people in power are involved in it, but it's just like,
The Illuminati's all involved.
you know
I
what's
hope
involved? The
the what?
I don't know. Everyone who watches the web series is involved. They're like, oh, that's you chloroform a girl without. Like,
Oh,
okay,
what was he gonna say? That's what was he gonna say? I mean, if you think about it, the guy literally said they're generals and senators
yeah, which I
that are
believe.
passing people around. So you're right. It has to be people in power, or else there's no way it would have stayed going
Yeah,
this long.
yeah, it can't be a bunch of like plumbers doing it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
they'd all get ratted out on.
I know, fucking guy. Hey, I'm gonna come fix your pipes, but also I have a kid being delivered to me, so just
Oh my
when they
god,
ring the bell, let him in.
how
Okay.
morbid is that? Well, on a lighter note, you should definitely binge this. Mhm.
On a lighter note, I watched Finding Dory. I like that. Did you watch Finding Dory?
I watched it, and then, but I like watched it a long time ago, so I don't really remember it.
I liked it better than Finding Nemo.
Really,
Yeah. I also watched Inside Out. That was alright.
I kind of liked because Inside Out's the emotion one, right?
Yeah. What happens to Fantasy World when she discovers like boys like hardcore? Does that become like
Oh my god,
an
could
X-rated like
be.
that? That was my big thing. It's like, what are the other thing I thought, like, what do the emotions do like when she discovers how to masturbate? Like, what is like is Joy gonna be like, this is awesome? Like, I don't know.
Probably everyone probably throws like a whole rager.
A rager when she masturbates. But my whole thing was like, this girl's gonna go through puberty, and like that whole like little world they built is gonna get like really dark when she goes through puberty. You
Yep.
know,
I mean, it was starting to fall apart
it was starting to fall apart in the movie,
because of
which was kind
sad.
of good because she was
Well, if you
sad.
think about it, I thought it was well done because like it was starting to fall apart and then like rebuild itself, and I feel like that's how like puberty kind of goes for people. It's like a
Yeah.
wave.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, trust me, other things. She'll get a boyfriend, he breaks up with her, then everything's just gonna
Fall apart
collapse.
again, and then that's when sadness has to be around to help her. Yeah, that would have been
I thought it
interesting
was.
if
Oh,
the
sorry.
next. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say I thought it was an interesting concept for
I did
sure.
too, but that would be interesting. That would have been interesting also storyline, like her first heartbreak, and then the sadness and joy to team up because she's never been rejected before. That would be interesting. That would
Right.
have been. And then what else did I watch? Inside Out. I watched Monsters University, which was amazing. I love that.
Right. It's
That
really
was
good.
great. That was really good. Too bad colleges aren't going to exist anymore. Did
Yeah.
they cancel your sister's online classes? Say online only because all the
No,
schools
I
are
think
doing it.
like the ones that are big lectures are online and then like labs are in person.
Mm.
But what do you see the whole thing now that like now what is it ICE or the ICE is
Yeah,
that like banning all like foreign like
it's
the
yeah,
foreign students. I'm like that's how the majority like you want these universities to thrive. That is where the majority of these universities money is coming from.
yeah. No, I know. It's wild what's going on. It's really crazy. I just think every college is going to follow suit. Just everything's going to be online. I don't see a safe
Well,
way that you can have dorms and everything.
well, what they're doing is like at least in Allison school, and as far as I know, like where I went, Penn State's still doing this. Is I think what's happening is everyone goes back, and then like come Thanksgiving time, then people go home. I mean, because they don't want to reduce their tuition rate. So like, I'm not kidding because what was it? It was like some Ivy League school. Was it Princeton?
Princeton's
I
doing a
think
discount if you stay at home.
yes, that's
ten
what they were doing.
percent.
So that's what they were thinking. So like I said, I'm convinced that the reason why these universities are so like some of the universities like Ohio State, like where Allison goes, and then Penn State, I feel like they're so adamant about getting people back in the school so they can't
I
lower
know,
rates.
but if an outbreak breaks out now, it's in school. They're gonna have to send everybody home, and it's gonna look bad for them. I mean,
And then they're gonna yep.
and then they're gonna like they might like any school that forces people to come in and then someone dies or gets sick. Like if one person dies in Allison's class, they're completely fucked as a university, and then they might have to have people might just be like, I'm not coming back. I want my money back. You know, parents might be
Yeah.
like, I mean, not your parents. They'll be like, no, Allison, you can infect Allison.
Well, the thing
Have
that's
fun.
crazy too is I'm like, okay, so the thought is like, everyone goes and then like Thanksgiving time, the rest of the classes are online. However, what I don't get is like
So the finals are gonna be online. That doesn't make any
the
sense.
finals are all going to be online. So it's like everyone goes back until Thanksgiving, then everyone's online. However, you can't police people going back and forth like to and from
Why
home.
don't you do like half the school is one like half the school goes from like September to November, and the other half goes the rest like
Like the
January to
second.
like April. Yeah, and you just take all the classes at once, and then the other semester is online. One semester's in the building, the other semester's online.
They could. However, like I said, I don't think they want to do all online because then they'll feel obligated to do a discount. But I think Harvard's doing all online and no
And they're not giving a
discount.
discount, but you know what? That's
So
because you had that stupid piece of paper that says Harvard, and I guess they get you good jobs. So
I guess.
I don't know. I think
I don't
I think
agree.
the whole college system is going to fall apart.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think a lot of times people go to like, look, what was your degree in being a racist?
I did 2 majors, and one in marketing and one in Spanish.
Okay, see, so you have like real world experience, but like if you go to college for like acting, what's your sister's major? If you don't mind me asking.
She's trying to do physical therapy.
Okay, see, that's like these are real jobs, so it's worth going to college. I think like a lot of people go to college for the camaraderie and hanging out
Mm-hmm.
and the life experience of being on your own. And if that's gone, and it's like, well, then why not pick this university? Like, you could probably like get a degree if you're not getting you're just not getting any real world experience as a physical therapist. What is she going to do with a piece of paper that says she's a physical therapist? You know,
I know.
I feel
Well,
like
she even had
college.
an, oh,
What?
sorry.
So I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say she even had like an internship lined up all this summer at a physical therapist's office, and like that was kind of
Gone.
put on the
Yeah.
back burner. Like it's not even a thing anymore.
Yeah, so it's like she's going to pay all this money. She's going to get a piece of paper that says she's a physical therapist, but she doesn't have that. So I feel like these colleges are going to be exposed as like they're overcharged, the system's corrupt, and they're going to have to make major changes. This country's going to have to make major changes, and no one's ready for it.
Nope. Well, that's why there's all this like uproar about like race and then like, the COVID and wearing masks. Like, how dare you tell me that I have to wear a mask? Who cares?
Who
You're out for
cares?
not that long. Like, you go back to your car, you take off your mask again.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, when I'm in the park and I'm away from people, I lower the mask. I wear it around my neck, and then when people are around, I put it back up. What's the big deal?
it's it's because people are going to complain for the sake of complaining. And like the thing too is like I'm convinced too that because like as much as I feel Black Lives Matter is very important and should be in the news, I feel like because that was in the news and like COVID was kind of put in the back burner,
People now don't
everyone's
take it
kind of like,
seriously. Yes.
exactly. People are like, what's COVID? And my friend, I just found out she got COVID.
Hmm.
Like my friend from school she lives like near Atlantic City, has COVID and then like gave it to her mom too. And like her mom's, you know, older than her obviously. And she has a
Yeah.
grandma that's still alive.
Whatchamacallit, the girl who plays Juju, her dad almost died of it. Now he's okay, thankfully.
Well, yeah, one of my sorority sisters' dad actually died.
Oh my god. Jesus.
Like it's a thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
everybody, it's a thing. Like, please, like, stop pretending it's fake.
That's why we were on top of this. We changed as soon as this happened. We went to an all socially distanced podcast to continue our
Heck
working
yeah.
relationship.
Heck yeah.
We were on top of this. No one else is on top of it. We rolled with the punches, which was smart. No, it
I
was
like
like
that. Game over, girls.
I jumped on this right away, and everybody else was like, "Oh, let's wait it out." I started doing my wrestling podcast, this thing with you, and it's going well. You know, we're famous.
Woo.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I feel like podcasting's so easy. Like, literally, you're gonna have a conversation anyway. Might as well record it.
Yeah. So Unsolved Mysteries, I did look for a show on Prime yesterday when I cited Unsolved Mysteries. I couldn't find it. I'm going to do another look, and I want to try to do something on Prime. So I'm going to do another look tonight, and we'll probably do Prime next week, something on Amazon.
Okay, can't wait.
Okay. So, guys, that's the podcast for today. Tomorrow I'll be back with Andrew Lee, talking about NXT and AEW. Ashley, your podcast is back, right? The other one you
Yes,
do.
we are back. Dude, let me tell you, didn't do our Tuesday deadline, but yeah, hopefully we'll put something out this week or next week. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Woohoo! And yeah, I'm doing my own thing. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to us. We'll talk to you next time.